Welcome, welcome, welcome to my channel, Azurite 22. For those of you who are new, welcome. This is going to be a fun, interesting new video for you, all about the I Ching. For those of you who are returning, wonderful guests and subscribers and fans, thank you, thank you, thank you for your continued support over this last year and a half. It has been a phenomenal experience to work with each and every one of you, and for your comments, the purchases from my spiritual shop at www.azurite22.com/shop. Everything has been a blessing in these crazy turbulent times. I thank you. I thank each and every one of you. I actually had to expand my website today to have a comment section. So please do leave your comments about any products you've used from me and received from me. Please let others know what you think of them, because I receive lovely notes and people have mentioned, but I can't write it anywhere on your site. And it's like, the left brain. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For all of the new people who have come in, thank you for coming and trying out my channel. And without further ado, we're going to get into this I Ching, which is all about learning how to build the I Ching hexagrams, how to divine with the I Ching. And as always on this channel, what do? We want to bring our intuition to the fore to bring us more into our lives. So today, the I Ching readings, they seem a little challenging because they're like this hexagram thing and you've got these lines and it's tough, right? It's not that bad. It's not that bad. I'm going to show you why. My dog-eared book, I Ching. Don't look at my book. It's how old it is, how long I've had it. The I Ching, Book of Changes, the Richard Wilhelm translation, rendered in English by Carrie E. Baines. Okay, let's start again. I Ching is an ancient Chinese divination system used for thousands of years, and it's very, very accurate. There are 64 hexagrams, and those hexagrams cover a range of topics, and each hexagram has 6 lines, and you build it from the bottom up. So it sounds very complicated, but it's not so bad. So the I Ching, like I said, has 64 hexagrams. There you go. Can you see it? There. All 64, made up of various trigrams. Very, very simple. Grab yourself some paper and you figure out a system, because a penny has 2 sides, of course. You could also use the I Ching coins. They're larger coins with a hole in the center. But I use pennies. Which side is going to be your yin and which side is going to be your yang? You've got to decide that. So I used to use it where yin was tails. I'm sorry, yin was head and it was 3, and yang was tail and it was 2. You have to choose which one you want, because there's a numerical value to the yin and the yang. Let's just go with the version I'm using now, which is, I flipped it. The yin is going to be the tail. Let me see if I can make it clearer. Just the tail. And then that's going to be 2. And then the yang, which is heads, will equal 3. All right, remember that. And this way we'll know how to build it. Then there's a moving line, a solid line, a broken line, and a moving solid line. I know, it sounds like a lot. It's not bad. So here's my little cheat sheet. I'm gonna fold it so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Let me make it so that you can see it. Okay? 6 is a moving line broken. 7 is a solid line not moving. 8 is a broken line not moving. 9 is a moving line solid. Notice that for the 6, there's a break and then you put a little X. And then for the 9, it's a line with that circle so that you know it goes over into 2. So the 9 turns into an 8 and the 6 turns into a 7. All right? Yeah, I know. This is why people don't do the I Ching. We're not really going to ask a question. We're just going to, well, we could. We could ask the I Ching, what do you say about the current COVID-19 situation? Right? So we write down our question always. Today is the 17th. I Ching, what do you have to say about the current COVID-19 situation? Very broad question. Not sure how the I Ching is going to answer it, but let's start. You think of the question, you clear your mind, and we only use 3 pennies. Sorry. My brain is still on the normal way I use my pennies. But. I Ching, what do you have to say about the current COVID situation? We have 2 tails and 1 head. So 2 tails, so that's 2 pennies down, so that's 2 and 2, and then we have head. So I go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we start at the bottom and we put a 7. I Ching, what do you have to say about the current COVID-19 situation? We have 2 heads and 1 tail. So 2 heads, 3, 6, 7, 8. That's an 8. I Ching, what do you have to say about the current COVID situation? We have 2 tails, 1 head. So 2 tails, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, what do you have to say about the current COVID-19 situation? We have 2 tails and 1 head. So 2 tails, so head, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Another 7. So that's 4 lines, 2 more to go. I Ching, what do you have to say about the current COVID-19 situation? We have 2 tails and 1 head. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Another 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We always check to make sure. 5 lines. 1 more line left. I Ching, what do you have to say about the current COVID situation? All right, now we have all 3 tails. So that is 2, 4, 6, because they're all heads. I'm sorry, tails. They're all tails. So that is what we have, right? Let's build it. Show you one more time. Okay, there, that's what we have. Let's build it. Doesn't matter how you put the lines in at this point because you've already done it. So this, because we have that top line as a moving line, it's going to create a second hexagram for us. If there are no moving lines at all in the first hexagram is your only hexagram. If there are moving lines, such as the one at the top, then that second hexagram is built like this. Like we said, the 6 now turns into a 7. So now what we have is that, okay, which is, I will give it to you in a moment, my trusty old book that's been around for 99 years. And that looks like twee, is that? Yep, that is twee. Broken top line, 2 solid lines over solid, broken solid, which is li. So twee over li, and then we have chien, which are the 3 solid lines, again, over li. So twee over li is 49. And I'm almost pretty sure that that is revolution, top line stressed. And that goes into chien over li, which is the 13th hexagram, which I think is following. Let me go and verify for you. '49, yep. Revolution, molting into 13. I'm sorry, fellowship with men is 13. Okay. That's what it looks like, and that's how you build it. Okay? So you can always go online. I will put in the description box websites that you can go to literally have the website cast this hexagram for you, so you don't have to do it yourself. But this is the way to build it. And you see, it doesn't take that long. You just have to figure out which one, yin or yang, will be heads or tails. And whichever one is yin, you're going to use 2. Whichever one is yang, you're going to use a 3. That's just it. So you can flip it. The head could be 2 and the tail could be 3. Up to you. Now, what we have here for revolution, it is saying revolution on your own day, you are believed, supreme success, furthering through perseverance, remorse disappears. Political revolutions are extremely grave matters. They should be undertaken only under stress of direst necessity, when there is no other way out. Not everyone is called to the task, but only the man who has the confidence of the people, and even he only when the time is ripe. He must then proceed in the right way, so that he gladdens the people, and by enlightening them prevents excesses. Furthermore, he must be quite free of selfish aims, and must really relieve the need of the people. Only then does he have nothing to regret. Times change, and with them their demands. Thus the seasons change in the course of the year. In the world cycle also there is spring and autumn in the life of people and nations, and these call for social transformations. You saw me build this from scratch with a question that I just came up with randomly. Clearly, we are speaking with a very, very high oracle, because they pulled right up with what is going on in the world today with all of the riots, with all of the pandemic, everything. I mean, everything is encompassed in this reading. The COVID situation for many, because we are all quarantined, we are stay in shelter, stay in place. We're already a little antsy. We're already in a bit of a mode to revolt, to rebel, because we're all anxious. This is a very anxious time for all of us. So now when we have these other situations coming in, of injustice, racial injustice, it definitely led to this revolution. COVID itself, some may say, was a precursor for the riots, simply because so many people who are affected by COVID have been people of color. It's almost as if, what do we have to lose at this point? Because so much has already been taken from them, us. I'm also African American. So protesting, letting people know how they feel, sharing the things that have already happened all of these years, but now there is a platform to speak on it, unfortunately, due to the death of George Floyd in such a reprehensible way. The I Ching is showing us the shaping factors of what has happened. The COVID situation itself, forgetting about that tangent for a moment, the COVID situation itself has changed the world and the world dynamic. We're beginning to see and hear of organizations, companies, just the way things are done in the world, our lifestyle, this new normal, that we're going into a hybrid situation where we have to decide which things that we need to do are in person and which things can be done virtually. Because moving forward, the experts are saying we're not really out of the clear until early next year, spring of next year. So this COVID-19 situation is revolutionizing the way we as humans on the planet today are doing things, are interacting with one another, how our governments work, how we work interpersonally with our neighbors next door. So the I Ching is pointing that out. And the top line specifically, because in this case, the top line is speaking, it says, the superior man changes like a panther. The inferior man molts in the face. Starting brings misfortune. To remain persevering brings good fortune. After the large and fundamental problems are settled, certain minor reforms and elaborations of these are necessary. These detailed reforms may be likened to the equally distinct but relatively small marks on the panther's coat. As a consequence, a change also takes place among the inferior people. In conformity with the new order, they likewise molt. This molting is true, does not go very deep, but that is not to be expected. We must be satisfied with the attainable. If we should go too far and try to achieve too much, it would lead to unrest and misfortune. For the object of a great revolution is the attainment of clarified, secure conditions, ensuring a general stabilization of the basis of what is possible at the moment. Clearly, what the oracle is telling us here is, at the end of this, there are going to be changes, but the changes, just like these spots on the panther, it'll be surface. It's not going to go that deep. But this is the entire United States we're talking about here in terms of the racial injustice, the riots that I spoke about first in this reading. In order to achieve great things, you can't go too far, too fast, or else it's just not going to work. It's going to break the supports that are there. You have to satisfy yourself with changing physical behaviors. So policy changes which are in place, actual mandates, so that rewriting of laws, so that it is in writing, it has been authorized that X, Y, and Z cannot happen. And if X, Y, and Z happens, this is the direct consequence. So that is going to, over time, change things, because right now, clearly, there is a force that you cannot completely break its undertones and where it stems from, because this is something that has been around for quite some time. You cannot wave a magic wand and people's feelings and the things they were raised with and things that are just part of the culture are going to go away. They're not. But if you put things in place, hardline things in place, over time, it's going to be like, oh, right. And as this generation transition and goes on, the next generation after this current generation passes or transitions, the new generation has grown up with the new rules, the new laws, the new way of doing things with a broader perspective written in those laws. And it's going to be normal for them. So this is what the I Ching is telling us, that you take this superficial, quote unquote, superficial change now, so that it will later on become more deeply embedded as people get used to this. And then it goes into fellowship of men. Fellowship with men in the open, success. It furthers one to cross the great water. The perseverance of the superior man furthers. True fellowship among men must be based on a concern that is universal. It is not the private interests of the individual that create lasting fellowship among men, but rather the goals of humanity. That is why it is said that fellowship with men in the open succeeds. If unity of this kind prevails, even difficult and dangerous tasks, such as crossing the great water, can be accomplished. But in order to bring about this sort of fellowship, a persevering and enlightened leader is needed, a man with clear, convincing, and inspiring aims and the strength to carry them out. So what we have here to clarify the 49th hexagram is all of this is needed and necessary in order to get to this fellowship of men. It's all about humanity. What is a universal aim and goal? And the universal aim and goal for this portion of the discussion, which is the racial injustice, is everyone should be treated the same no matter their skin color. And that is a universal kind of ideal. Everybody should be treated equally. You have to also have someone in charge, someone spearheading this, or not necessarily someone, but you have to have a group of people who believe this and will champion this thought, this idea. In terms of COVID-19 itself, how that could play out with this reading is we universally need to be safe. We need to be comfortable that we will not become ill should someone sneeze around us. What are the precautions that are going to be put in place in order for the fellowship of men to happen? what things in society are going to become our new normals. And that is exactly what is being spoken of now. How will we do this? Stadiums are going to open again. Large venues for concerts and such. But there's talk of they're not going to be filled to capacity anymore. They are going to think about how far people are going to have to sit. Are they sitting 2 seats apart, 3 seats apart, 4 seats apart, a section apart? How is that going to work? They're in the process of working through all of this. So the I Ching is telling us what is happening here is exactly what should happen in order for us to move forward on 2 different levels. Because for me, the racial injustice and the COVID-19 situation are kind of linked simply because so many people were home. So many people had the gift of time, as I've been calling it, if you follow me here on this channel, to be able to pay attention, to be able to jump in and add their voice to a conversation that has not had as much time to be aired. It is being aired now. So COVID-19 is forcing us to look at our actual safety as a human race. How can this be secured by our government? And also the racial injustice. How can we be seen equally, no matter what our skin color is? And the I Ching is telling us, take what we can get right now, put place, quote unquote, superficial things, which are laws, which are policies that will over time transmute into a change of functioning. But you can't change the function without the small steps in between. So this is how you look at the I Ching. This is a way of interpreting it. You, of course, need to get an I Ching book. I mentioned the Wilhelm translation. There are a multitude of resources online. I'll also put that in the description below so you can kind of get a sense. But it is something that you have to work with over time and gain an understanding, because the I Ching it was written a long time ago, so the messages and the images are archaic, are old, and you might have to update the images for current times. But some hexagrams like this speak very, very, very clearly, very, very easy to be seen and understood. So I hope you enjoyed learning about how to build the I Ching hexagram and further the reading for what the I Ching has to say about the COVID-19 situation. Thank you so much, and please leave me some comments below, and I look forward to speaking with you and working with each of you more in the future. Bye-bye.